Hello everyone, welcome back. So in today's video I want to talk about a thing that I've noticed a lot lately on online forums and stuff. A lot of people are using terms and talking about things like microfauna and stuff like food webs and things like that. Now all this, obviously, it's related to the habitat side of an ecosystem, and what I wanted to say was just remind everyone that while it is technically an ecosystem, there's no such thing as a truly closed ecosystem. However, what we're trying to achieve in an adapted aquarium is the nutrient cycling side of the ecosystem. Ultimately, it's a low-tech planted tank, and every planted tank, regardless of whether it's a Walstad dated low-tech or one of Tom Barr's low-tech or high-tech planted tanks, or on a mono style high-tech planted tank, the three key components that we need to constantly bear in mind is balancing the CO2 levels in the tank, whether we're injecting it or we're using the natural levels, with the intensity of the light we're using. Now if we get that wrong, we are opening ourselves up for ammonia to start interacting with the light and start causing algae issues. So we need to focus on balancing our light with the levels of CO2 in our aquarium, like I say, whether it's injected or natural. And then once we've achieved that, we also need to focus on our nutrient levels in the aquarium. Now with a data tank like this, we're relying on natural processes, nutrient cycling, which is what we're achieving from an ecosystem, to produce the micro and macronutrients. The micronutrients are the nutrients that plants need in minute amounts, but they tend to get that from the soil. The aerobic layer of soil breaks it down, breaks all the waste down, and releases all these micronutrients. And the further down in the soil, you get the likes of iron and manganese are built up in anaerobic pockets. So we need to be mindful of these things, and also as fish waste, fish food is breaking down, it releases your other nutrients, your macronutrients, which are your nitrogen, your phosphate and your potassium. Arguably not much potassium is going to come out of the fish food, and it could ultimately become deficient in the tank. That's why, along with when we're dosing fertilizers, normally a part of that is calcium, magnesium, stuff that buffers the GH, and then carbonate, stuff that will buffer the carbonate hardness of the water, and we're not doing that in a naturally planted aquarium. So if our soil isn't buffering our water, we need to make sure that we're buffering it manually with the likes of calcium, chloride, magnesium, which is Epsom salts, and our bicarbs to raise the KH, and then we might need to add some sort of potassium in there just to balance the thing. But we all know that plants prefer to take their potassium from the roots, so it can be quite a juggling act to get them down there. So, but all I'm trying to do is remind people that if we do want a data tank and we're using terms like ecosystem, it's equally important to be keeping an eye on the nutrient cycling side of the ecosystem, as opposed to the habitat side of the ecosystem, where we're talking about food webs and microfauna and stuff like that. While all of them do tie into a planted aquarium, when topics are focused solely on these things, we forget ultimately we're dealing with a low-tech planted tank, and we need to treat it as a low-tech planted tank. Otherwise we're going to start suffering with nutrient deficiencies, and if the plants stop growing, start breaking down, then we're losing our filtration basically, aren't we? So anyway guys, that's enough of a lecture from me. So I just wanted to show off my newly dated Walstad tank that's been running a couple of weeks, and show off my new Bosmani rainbow fish. Now this to me is like really exciting. It's a classic planted tank in my opinion, with some classic plants and some unique fish. I mean, for me, the unique, there's no one in my area keeping rainbows. I know there's a lot of Americans seem to be far bigger into the rainbows than people in the UK. So for me, I don't know anyone who's keeping rainbows, and I feel like this might, for me, be a turning point in the hobby, and I'm excited to see where it go. But I'm just excited to keep a classic style planted tank with the big leaves and rosette styles and the grasses and bulb plants. It makes a nice change from stem plants, I think. I know there's a few in there. We can see Bacopa, and I'm thinking of putting Rotala in there and Ludwigia because I love them 3 plants. So, and obviously I've got Anacaris in there to help with the water quality, but I'm excited. And as I say, I don't know anyone who's keeping rainbows, so I'd like to have a go breeding them. I might set up another dated tank and get some precox rainbows and start off with a couple of the more common ones, see if I can breed them and then see how much I enjoy them. But for me, I feel like this is me making a turning point in the hobby and getting to something a bit more traditional and classic, and something that not many people are doing at the moment.